All right, everybody, welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket, and this is an edition, Big Doss, that I am looking forward to. Now, sadly, Bluey hasn't been able to be with us. He's got another engagement, so he's had to bail out. But this man, just have a listen to the back body of work he's put together. He's all the way from the United Kingdom, by the way, out of Accrington, a superstar of that part of the world, the Lancashire County Cricket Club, where he dominated, played over 400 games, England, where he was a double centurion, and then another 100 against Pakistan, then came out in one of the most famous Ashes series of all time and stared Thommo and DK down. Then he turned into an umpire. Then he turned into a coach. Then he turned into one of the most enjoyed commentators and analysts in the history of our game. I speak of David Bumble Lloyd, who is on the line now. Bumble, welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket.
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled, and what an introduction, JB. I'll tell you what, if I'm that good, I think I'll make a comeback.
Hey, mate, we know you're coming out, and we can't wait for that. It's going to be a huge, huge Ashes summer. Going to get your thoughts on all of that in this next 45 minutes or so. But, mate, what are you doing now? Because you're not doing as much commentating, so what does life look like for David Lloyd as we speak?
I'm doing absolutely loads. I've never been as busy for the last 3 or 4 years. I've been into streams for county cricket, and I don't go so far. I like to stay in the north, so I'll only do Lancashire, Yorkshire and Durham. And so I really enjoy that. I watch the women's cricket. I go to the test matches. I've been working for the paper, but they've just binned me. My contract's finished at that paper, so I'm looking for another paper.
Good.
So I'm real busy. I've had a great time. I'll do my fishing and all. I love fishing. I think, do you like fishing, Ados? I'm sure you do.
Now, see, we've got to try and softly introduce our host this evening, because the only fish that he enjoys is that's served up in a 5-star restaurant.
That is true.
And a smoking hot waitress. That's it. But Bumby, you and me have got this in common, because I absolutely love fishing. It doesn't really matter what sort. Probably my favourite is lure casting to Barramundi up in the tropical north. I'm pretty sure that you'll have a story about that. But Lammy did take me up in Scotland and blooded me, as the tradition goes, the double strike. And that was just one of the best experiences of my life, I've got to say. Some malt to just start up. In fact, quite a lot of malt to start off, just in case the fish weren't on. But we had a great day, mate, up there. It was brilliant.
Well, that reminds me. That's what I do, fly fishing. And I was out there last week, and I fell in, of course, and you got absolutely drenched. So then I'm driving back. I'm driving back in my underpants, and if I'd have got pulled in, I'd have been put in prison. But when you talk about toasting the water, I went golfing last week with Beefy. You've never seen anything like it. We had 3 days. I'll be very brief. He fell out of his buggy. He tipped it up. He tipped the buggy up completely. We couldn't get him out of it. He's broken 2 ribs. He's lacerated his arm and his hand.
Really?
We've eventually got it upright again with him inside it. So he finishes the round of golf, so no problem at all there. Next night, we go out for dinner into some Swiss restaurant, real posh thing. He stands up and promptly falls over. Bang! Straight on his face. He busts his nose, cuts his nose. He's black and blue. He's got a black eye. And when we put him to bed, his last words were, "Don't tell Kath." Don't tell Kath. Just look at him. Look at the state of him. He gets very thirsty, as you know.
Were you his +1 on that side, or was there someone else?
On the buggy, he fell on him. The other guy, chief exec up at Durham, and he fell on the top of him, which cracked his ribs.
Oh, goodness. I was going to say, JB, his first mistake, Beefy, was to have Bumby on the other side of him, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. You've got one bloke that's ringing wet about at 135 kegs, and then you've got Bumble who's got to be, what are you, Bum, about 75 kegs ringing wet?
So I'll be about 80. I'm coming in at about 80 because I'm into boxing. I like me boxing. I love boxing. So, I just keep having a bit of a punch.
Now, Bumble, let's take you back, because your story is so fascinating to me. I played in the Lancashire League for Nelson, so I remember you at the bar at Accrington, and that's where you grew up. You loved that cricket club, and also Accrington Stanley, the famous soccer club from that region. And then you went to Lancashire. Tell us a bit about how that worked.
Well, I mean, it's 1964 when I went to Lancashire. And even, like, Chappelli played one game. It's one of them great quiz questions. Chappelli played one game for Lancashire, so he considers himself a Lancastrian. Jeff Lawson played one game for Lancashire.
Really?
And so he would consider himself a Lancastrian. When they were, I mean, the club might have been looking for overseas players, but we had some absolute crackerjacks in Clive Lloyd, and then latterly Wazim Akram, one of the greatest bowlers that we've ever seen. We were a Lutheran. You know, we've had some great bowlers. But to get back to Accrington, Shane Warne was professional at Accrington.
That's
and
right.
he terrorised Accrington as a 19-year-old. And they've still not got over it.
Off the pitch, you mean?
Oh, yeah, nothing to do with the cricket. He was crap at the cricket. I think he actually... Bob Simpson, I saw Bob at Old Trafford, and he said, how's that leg spinner going? Oh, I said, Bob, we're next to bottom. What? He said, get him to ring me. And so Shane rang Bob, and anyway, he started taking wickets then, because Bob Simpson was Accrington pro. He played his first 2 matches, but JB, you know what it's like. Ados, you know from Greenmount. Bob Simpson plays his first 2 games at Accrington, and blobs, he bagged them. And they're all shouting from the side, go home, pro. Go home. And anyway, from then on in, he broke the league record. He broke the league record, Bob Simpson. He caught pigeons. He didn't field at slip. He fielded at cover. He was catching pigeons and bowling leg spin. And Bob being Bob, he was charging 2 shillings for a bit of coaching on a Tuesday night.
He would have too. So how did you get from Accrington to play county cricket for Lancashire? How did that happen?
Well, I was playing for Lancashire schoolboys, and you played at Old Trafford, and it was dead simple. I did well. I was bowling wrist spin. I was bowling things out the back of my hand and batting number 4. I got wickets. I got runs at Old Trafford, and they signed me straight away from school.
So what I want to know, because we've had countless hours with you, Bumble, and loved every one of them, but I've never got into this bit. And the bit of research I did, because I knew you were coming on, was... You made that 214 against India in very early on in your career playing for England. Then you made 100 against Pakistan. Then you were brought out here and had to face the bloody fire and brimstone of Thomson and Lillee. At the end of that, your test average was still 42 and you never played again. What the hell happened?
I mean, they probably didn't fancy me, and Geoffrey Boycott were coming back anyway. I'd never get in a cricket team instead of Geoffrey Boycott, and they still had Dennis Amis, who were a fantastic player, and so that opportunity never cropped up again. I played in a one-day international and broke my arm. Well, I didn't break it. Malcolm Marshall broke it in 1980. But Beefy picked me for that, and he should never have picked me. I couldn't see for a start. Never mind Malcolm Marshall and Michael Holding and the rest of them. And so it all just... I finished in about 1983, I think. But I'd never been out of England. When I came to Australia, 74, I've been to Wales. That were about it. And we landed in Darwin. Up in the Northern Territories up there. And I saw that we landed, and I've come down the steps of the aeroplane, and I can't remember who I was talking to, with Mike Hendrick probably. I said, crikey, these engines get hot, don't they? He said, that's not the engines, that's bloody Darwin. I've never been as hot. It were absolutely stifling. It must have took us on that aeroplane, it must have took us 32 hours to get from the UK. Oh, and there were loads. I've never smoked in my life. And there were people on this aeroplane. We were in the cattle class at the back, all of us. And they're smoking away. It was like a fog. It just foggy in the aeroplane. Rubbish.
And then you walked into Thommo. We spoke about him on this show a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I'm old enough to remember it much more than Bluey and Haydos, who are younger. It had to be seen to be believed. The velocity, the airspeed, and then you had the great DK, who many say is the greatest ever. But walking into Australia in a test series and facing Thommo, what was that like, Bumble?
Well, it was a great tour, and we played. And I know you can get on to modern day where England are just going to rock up and start playing Test match cricket. We played every state before the first Test match, so it was a long tour, and all this acclimatising and so on. Well, it didn't do us any good because we got absolutely rolled 4-1. They were a fantastic side. They were brilliantly led by Ian Chappell. His brother was the real stardust in the team. Ian Redpath was as nuggety as you could get at the top. Dougie Walters would check you on and play every shot in the book. Ross Edwards was a fantastic fielder, a middle order glue batter. Rowdy bowling off spin, supplemented the attack. Tangles with his arms all over the place. Thomson and Lillee. You know, you're not going to win, but it was a great tour. I had a wonderful time. I've never visited a place like Australia, which the people were fabulous. Then you play at the MCG and there's like 90-odd thousand. And that day and age, they're all fighting. They get everybody banging away at each other. There's eskies being thrown onto the pitch, ice. There's also, I thought it was bloody marvellous.
And what about being, like we were talking about this, Dos. I mean, as you know, Bumble, my father played in that same era and had to face Thommo with no helmet as you did. Like, what the hell? Like that's 106, that's 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, he was a real specimen, was Thommo, and he gets the shits with me. He keeps saying, he said that he's making a load of money from me hitting him in the nuts. Well, I mean, I've never made it, as far as I know, I've never made a bean out of it. The people ask me a question and I'll answer it. And so he was a fantastic bowler. He was rapid. The pitches were great, fast, true pitches. To be honest, we never seen pace like that, and we'd nothing really to fight back with. Bob Willis wasn't really fit. He was strapped up from top to toe, was Bob. You know, we had Greggy who gets stuck in with Tony Gregg, which was good fun as well. Mike Hendrick, Chris Old, medium paces, English-style bowlers, hitting back of a length, no real swing. Jeff Arnold got unbelievably homesick. And after 2 weeks, me and Arnold, we roomed together. And he used to stand on the balcony of the hotel watching aeroplanes go past, saying, I could be on that, going, we'd only been there 2 weeks.
That's hilarious. Oh, I love that. Dos, it was one of the great... and then you got Colin Cowdrey. Came out to play in a test match, I think it was in Perth. Hadn't played Test cricket for 7 years or something. He was in his 40s, and he wandered out to face Thommo. Were you opening with him, or did he bat 3?
Yeah. No, I think he and I opened. We definitely batted together. And there were 8 ball overs, don't forget. There were 8 ball overs at that time. And Thommo's steaming in and you got loads of bounces. You got 4 or 5 bumpers and over. And so you had no time. I won the hooker anyway. Just get out of the way. Don't look at the scoreboard because the scoreboard's going nowhere. Don't even look at it. Anyway, I've never met this Colin Cowdrey. I've played against him a couple of times, but he was quite posh. Nice fella, lovely fella. And so we're batting together at the end of the over. We're ducking and weaving and trying to get out of the way. And oh, shit, he's hit me again. And he comes down the pitch, Colin Cowdrey, and he says to me, well, this is rather fun, isn't it? And I looked at him, I said, I've been in funnier situations than this, Colin. And just walked back. I thought the bloke's crackers. This is rather fun. No, it's not. Anything but fun. Get me a stiff drink.
Now, just coming back to this next tour, Bumble. What's your gut feeling? I mean, we've heard not a lot out of the English camp. It's mostly been the Aussies that have been talking smack. There was a little stoush between Brody and David Warner the other day, and I thought Brody actually explained himself quite nicely, in his own opinion of the team. What's your opinion of it?
Yeah, it's a good pairing, is that? But Broad and David Warner, just leave them. Don't talk to anybody else. Just leave it to them too. But we're slap bang in the middle of the football season here. There's nobody really bothered about cricket. There's nobody bothered. Rugby and football and horse racing and that sort of thing. So cricket's a little bit on the back burner. But we're doing a podcast. Me, Vaughan, Philip Tufnell, who's fantastic, and Alistair Cook. And so, what's your prediction? And I think it'll be tight. It'll be 2 apiece, or it'll be 3-1. I think it'll be 3-2. I don't think there'll be any rained off. And so they said, "What about you?" I said, "Well, I'm going to be Glenn McGrath. I am Glenn McGrath for now." I said, 5-0 England, 5-0. I said, are they playing 5 matches because they're going to win 5-0? Glenn McGrath in a 3-match series always says 5-0.
The podcast, by the way, is Stick to Cricket,
Brilliant.
and it is a fantastic podcast. So those of you who want to hear it, it's brilliant.
The one thing, Bumble, that I noticed about the podcast, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, was the one that Alan Lamb was on, and I just was looking at Cookie's mouth, and it was just wide open. I mean, as Lammy started firing into what his touring life was looking like, you could just see Cookie just going, "Oh, I clearly didn't have fun because of course I didn't have enough fun anyway."
That's 1986, and so it's Beefy and Gower leading the charge. And it got, I mean, they were, I don't think they played sober for about 2 months. They were never sober. And I was out there for a little bit of that. I think I got out there, although it might have been 91. I might not have been there. But that's the way that they played in that era. And walking on the field with a phone, Alan Lamb walked and give it to Dickie Bird. He gave it to Dickie. He said, "Hang on to that." He said, "There'll be a call coming through." And it was about a horse, as the horse won. And Dickie's answering it at square leg in a test match.
Oh, my God.
He wouldn't write about it.
So, Bumble, I've spoken about this before, I reckon maybe even with you. I was just starting off as a very, very junior burger WA cricketer. And that touring team you're talking about came to Australia, and it was around the same time that the America's Cup yacht racing was happening in WA. And we played a tour match, I wasn't playing, against England. I was like the 13th man, just a youngster around the team. Beefy, I don't think, had gone to sleep the night before. He walked out to bat onto the whacker, and the back of his shirt was all wet because he'd had his head in the laundry trough with ice and water. He walked out to bat, got all the way out into the middle, and realised he hadn't taken a bat with him.
That's him. Yeah. There's that many stories about him. There's that many stories. When he was captain at Somerset, he didn't go out to the middle with a jacket on and what we're going to do. He used to toss up on the balcony with a pork pie. Whatever it was, whatever the weather was, it's overcast, it's green, it's damp, we'll bat, and he promptly went to sleep. He just got to sleep, we'll bat. So, but he had this unbelievable belief in his own ability. His ability was tenfold. He was a fantastic cricketer, and he lived life to the full. And I told you about him last week. He didn't know he'd been to Spain, but he's living life to the full. And good on him. Because it can be outrageous, it can be a curmudgeon, but it can also be absolutely magnificent company. And he's as daft as a brush.
What about the last tour? I loved. So the last time they were out here, Big Doss, we had Bumble a couple of tests on a link to the 7 coverage, and at tea time we would cross. So I think the first test was in Brisbane, and it hadn't gone well, and I can't remember where the second test was. And of course, Anderson and Broad hadn't played for England in those games. So we crossed to Bumble. I don't know what the hell time of day or night it was in the UK. And Bumble's just looked down the barrel and said, "They're thinking about it differently, England. They've brought a new strategy to the crease. Let's just leave our best 2 bowlers out and see how that goes."
What was that?
You know how you look at it from your commentary position, and you call the game. That's it, call the game. But you've got an opinion. We were playing in Barbados. We're playing in Barbados, which is the only ground in the West Indies that's got a bit of pace and bounce. We've got these 2 wonderful bowlers, and in the wisdom, the people who select the side at Barbados, be left. Who do you want? You want somebody with a bit of pace, who's tall, who can hit the pitch and get a little bit of bounce, which is going to be there. So we left Stuart Broad out and played Sam Curran. Sam Curran is about 5'4". Unreal.
I'm sure you've got 100 stories in your broadcast like that, though, where England have just misfired with their selection.
The big debate right now, present day, is the off spinner Bashir, who can't get a game with the county. He went out on loan from his original county and couldn't get a game on loan. But Stokes believes in him. Stokes, it's his man. And whether you debate in Australia right now, do you need a spinner? Do you need an out-and-out spinner who can't bat and can't really field? Or do you get by with a bit of off spin and a bit of left-arm spin from a batter? Do you do that? But all the talk here is that Stokes will want Bashir in his team. So that depends on Stokes being fit. He is fit. Stokes is fit, so they can play 3 quicks or 2 quicks and Atkinson, who's going to be a bloody good bowler, by the way, Atkinson. And so they're going to lengthen the batting lineup. They could have Smith at 7, Atkinson at 8. They could play Carse at 9, and Carse is a batter. And then they play either Archer and Wood. But again, the talk from like Vaughan and Cook is that first Test match at Perth, they will play they will play Wood and Archer. Play them together and then start alternating them.
Well, that would make sense because that's, along with the Gabba, the 2 places where it legitimately does fly through. So speaking of stories, tell me, Bumble, about your time as an umpire, because you went from a player and you ended up coaching England, did a bloody good job of that. But before that, you became a first-class umpire. Why and how did that go?
The question why, I wanted a more rounded view of the game. I was clever enough when I was playing cricket, and at 32 years of age, so you're coming to the end, I took all my badges. I took all my coaching badges. And then when I retired, I thought I want a more rounded idea of the game because I knew what I was doing with younger cricketers and so on. And so I got on the umpires panel. And so that gave me a good view of the game from an umpire's perspective and from when I used to be a player and a captain as well. And so there were no DRS, don't forget. There's no DRS. And we ruled the roost. We were the bosses out there and nobody gave us any shit. We didn't get any problem whatsoever. But now it's challenge the umpire. It's on the whiteboard in the dressing room, get into the umpire. And I think we've got some real strong umpires. We've got some really good blokes, and the statistics come out. If we got DRS, it's going to give you a little bit of extra to get the right decision. But if you just went naked eye, you'd get 92%, and DRS will up it to 95% correct decisions. And the one thing I will do in Test match cricket, just one review per innings, not 3, 1.
So how did you go umpiring against people you'd played with and against? How'd that go?
Oh, good. I umpired a game at the Oval when Steve Waugh would be, and he were proing he might have been at Nelson. Yep. Steve Waugh might have been proing at Nelson in the Lancashire League. And he was playing for Somerset. That's it. So he's playing for Somerset. And they're playing at the Oval, and it's quick. The Oval at that time's quick. They've got Sylvester Clarke. Rapid. Yeah. And Steve Waugh's at my end. I'm umpiring, and Steve Waugh's at my end. And Peter Roebuck's batting at the other end. And I'm sort of looking after Sylvester, or taking his sweater and saying, space him out. Because at that time, you could only bowl 2 bumpers. I think that were it, 1 or 2 bumpers, bounces. And so I kept going to Sylvester. I said, you're doing great, Silvers. I said, just keep spacing them out. You're fine. And then me and Peter Roebuck had a bit of a blue. We'd had a bit of a blue, umpire and captain. Anyway, he gets down that end, Peter Roebuck, to Silvers. So I go for his sweater. I said, right, Silvers, you've got 10 minutes on your own. I'm not bothered. Do what you want here. So and Steve Waugh's at my end. He's at my end, Steve Waugh. I mean, superb player. I mean, not a Test match player, superb county player. And he starts chatting to me, Steve Waugh. He said, what, you're Accrington? I said, yeah. I said, "Are you enjoying Nelson?" Yeah. It's good. Good fun, nicely. Yeah, it's nice and tight, and everybody gets stuck in and so on. Yeah. He said, "It's a good pitch, this." Yeah, it's a great pitch, Steve. Yeah, lovely pitch. Nice, pacey. Yeah. He said, "He's got a true bounce." I said, yeah, bounce is lovely. Lovely day as well. It is, Steve. Yeah, it's a lovely day. So he's chatting away, and they took him off, that Sylvester Clark, and put this dobber on. I can't think who it was, some little 70 mile an hour. And anyway, after 2 overs, I don't think, are we allowed to swear on this or not?
Yes.
Oh, right. So after 2 overs, this captain takes this dobber off and puts Sylvester Clark back on after 2 overs. Steve Waugh, all the niceties are finished. And he's, Christ, they're bringing that fucker on again.
And what happened? Do you remember what happened?
He got 150. He got 150. But what I mean, that is some contest. It's Sylvester Clark and Steve Waugh, and you were stood there umpiring. That's a contest.
Have you ever been accused of a motorway decision, Bubble, or have you got the degree in common sense? 7 down, all out.
Well, it used to be that I've got a bus to catch, and the trains are running late, and just get him somewhere near will do. He can't bat; they're going to be all out. Yeah, but that used to go on when I was playing. We had one, he was the best. All the bowlers used to bowl at his end, a bloke called Ray Julian. Do you remember Ray Julian? Yeah. Ray Julian, the umpire, used to have a little book, and he'd write in every LBW every year because he was going for 100. He was going for 100 LBWs. Then he would always want to stand at Richard Hadley's end. He said, I want to stand at Hadley's end. He said, I'll get 5 LBs here.
And then you coached, mate. You coached England, and that was a great experience.
They were a great bunch of lads. They were county cricketers who played for England, and it was just after, when I left, they became centrally contracted England cricketers. And so that's when I think English cricket got serious, when they got centrally contracted players. But I had a great bunch. I had two great captains in Michael Atherton, who were real nuggety, and Alex Stewart, who was all method, and he would be a great advert to how to go about playing Test match cricket, was Alex Stewart. And so, I had a great bunch of lads who would come up short against fantastic bowling attacks, i.e. Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh, Wazzy Makram, Wakar Yunis, Glenn McGrath, Shane Warne. They were fantastic attacks that you would come up against. But they give it the best shot. And we won some, we lost some. And the best win that we had, we very rarely played 5-match series other than Australia. We played South Africa at home, and they were under Hansi Cronje. And they were a tough, rough outfit. Alan Donald, Pollock, Klusner. They were, we knew we were in for a battle. And we'd always been England, stiff upper lip, after you, Claude, play the game. And so I had a wonderful boss called Lord McLaren, Ian McLaren, Tesco fella, wonderful boss. And I got in a bit of bother from time to time as a coach because I'd get stuck in a bit. And I went to him before it started. I said, look, this is going to be rough, tough, this series. I said, we're not taking one step back. I said, if they come into us, we'll come into them twice. We'll get right into them. And I don't want any repercussions coming back on my team. And he just looked at me, and he's quite posh bloke. And he looked at me and walked away with the words, carry on. That was great. I was right. And you might remember that was the series where Alan Donald, it's one of the great dramas of Test match cricket, Alan Donald and Michael Atherton.
Yes.
Nothing asked, nothing given. He thinks he's flipping glove one, and he might have done. It didn't give him out. And he flipping stood there. Atherton took an almighty barrage from AD. And that was great theatre, drama, Test match cricket at its very best. And we shaded the series 2-1. It got down to the last day at Headingley. They needed 30 to win. We needed 2 wickets, and Goffey cleaned them up. He got Untini out last, Micaiah Untini, and we shaded that series 2-1. And that's my most memorable time in cricket, whether it's something I was involved in or played in. That's my most memorable time.
Nah, that's awesome. I love that. Now, a couple of things I need to get to. Firstly, we had Swanee on how long ago, Dos?
A couple of weeks.
Couple of episodes ago. And he said to us, there aren't many of my impersonations that I'm allowed to do anymore in 2025. A lot of them have been stripped away. But he said, my favourite's Bumble. And he said, my favourite piece of commentary was in 2010 and 11 when the English team had the better of the Aussies out here. And the MCG, the crowd started at 80,000 and ended up at about 11. Do you remember what you said in commentary?
He's nearly got the story right. He's nearly got it right.
Right.
It's a good story, but it's at the Gabba. It's at the Gabba. And it's when England were 517 for 1. Alistair Cook is 267 not out. Ricky's captain. Day 5. Nobody's turned up. Nobody's turned up. This is a draw. And this is, people say, what's the best sledge you've ever heard? This is the best sledge I've ever heard. And it came from a spectator. So I've opened the programme up and I said, well, it's going to be a classic test match day, is this? It could go either way. Well, it's not. It's just going to be a draw. I said, and it's obviously fancy dress day here at the Gabba, and they've all turned up as plastic seats. The lot of them. They're all full of plastic seats. And so the game's meandering along. It's doing nothing. 517 for 1 is the end product. 267 Cook. And we're going through the motions, commentary. Set the field. They've got 2 slips. They've got a backward point. They've got a cover point mid-off. They've got fine leg, square leg. The one missing here. They've only got 10 on. Who's gone off? No, they do. There's nobody gone off. There's no sub on. Let's do that again. There's 2 slips. There's a backward point. There's a cover. There's a mid-off. The fine leg, square leg. Oh, hang on. There's one there, look. There's a fielder there. And there's a fielder down in a catching position between the umpire and the non-striking batter. He's down like that. And he's there, look. He's between. There he is. Camera zooms in. At point, there's one bloke in the crowd. But you can hear his voice. It bled through. And this is how it went. Ricky Ponting's captain. God thinking, Ricky. The last catch that went to silly mid on was 100 fucking years ago. There's bound to be another one soon.
It could have been Happy Jack's ghost.
It could have been Happy Jack. Yes, it could have been. That's not surprising.
There was this one bloke, Bobby. It didn't matter who you were. He would plague you, and each one of us have got stories about him. But my favourite was against Greg Ritchie. You had in the old days, you'd have all the cricketers' club, and they'd brew up for lunchtime these beautiful steaks, and that odour would come across the ground. And then you hear Happy Jack give the old, "Hey, Richie, you fat bastard, that's not for you."
And he was a hometown player.
He was.
It wasn't even in the opposition.
Supporter. Richie, 10 side on. Give the grass a chance to grow.
He was one of a kind, Happy Jack. Because Graham Wood, as you remember, Bumble, and Rick Darling used to run each other out for fun. Like it was just calamity every time they batted together. So when WA went up there to play a Shield game, Graham Wood got to the crease, hadn't faced a ball yet. Happy Jack, he'd give it hey, Woody, no one there. No, that isn't one. Can't take a single. He hadn't even faced up yet. So he was well educated, which I love. Hey, let's move on to your time out here broadcasting in Oz. You've done so many amazing tours covering the game for Sky and also for us out here, 9 and 7. And we took you to the Barossa one time for a wine tour. How did that go for you, Bumble?
Who was involved?
Mark Taylor's Barossa Valley Wine Tour. You got a letter inviting you on the tour, and I get a letter. And so there's JB, there's
Yep.
Slats, there's Mark, and
Peels?
McNamara.
Oh,
Oh
McNamara,
my
yeah.
God,
Buzzed, yeah.
McNamara. And you get a letter and you get rules as well. And
Yep.
this is a wine tour. There will be no beers and no shots. No beers and no shots. Well, right. And so I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, the wine's going to be special. The company
Yep.
is fantastic. So we put up into this pub that's got rooms.
Yep.
So we'll meet in the bar. So 20 shots later,
Oh.
and I don't know how many. We were playing mixed pool. There were these young ladies in, and we were playing them at pool. Shots churned around the shots in, and everybody were absolutely bladdered at the end of the first night on Tubby's wine tour.
I went the next day because we were going to Rockford's Big Doss,
Yeah,
where, of course, they
beautiful,
make the
beautiful.
magnificent
Yeah.
basket press. So
Mm.
that was one of the highlights of the wine tour. And we got to about 11:55 and we were meant to be there for the tour to start at 12. And there was no sign of Bumble. So they said to me, you're going to have to go and get him. He's in his room.
Yeah.
So I walked up to these rooms. We're all sharing the same sort of walkway balcony. And I knocked on the door and there was nothing. So I said to Buzzard McNamara, I don't think he's in there. And Buzzard said, mate, no one's seen him. I'm telling you he's in there. So I went, I said, Bumble. And after about 25 seconds, this door quietly opened and this man was resembling Kermit the Frog. He had a pair of boxer undies on and he's green. His face was green. I reckon Bumble, I've still got a photo of it.
So day two wasn't any good, Bumble?
Wow, he cried. And he carried on like that for days second. And Tubby's trying to remind us of the rules. Look, we can't do this. Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. I've
never been as ill as that. Never.
What shots were you drinking?
Well,
Everything.
anything and everything. This is great. Having a game of pool. Come on.
Well, Bumble, Tub and I, late on in the night, and I'm no pool player, so I don't know. They must have been real bad, the other people who were playing. And we were dominating. We just kept winning. So in the end, Tub's standing there going, is anyone prepared to take us on? And this couple came up and they said, yeah, we are. So, and by that stage, Bumble, all rules were off the table. It was as dirty a version of pool as you've ever come across. So anyway, Tub, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Tub had the white ball and the black ball and the pocket there. So he could have closed his eyes and got the ball into the pocket and we've beaten them. And this bloke comes around behind the pocket, pulls his trousers down and drops his pill bag into the pocket.
No.
What? That's a set of Norries.
Wow. No worries.
Tubby, I'm telling you,
talking about?
Tubby starts laughing and misses the white ball. He didn't make contact with the first ball, let alone the second one. And I thought, this shouldn't be happening. At that stage, we absolutely should have been to bed. So Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Bumble, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
And with us and who else? What else are you doing out here?
Nothing that I know of.
Not doing live shows?
I've not heard much, really. I'll have to check my emails and what have you. I'll be doing something. I know Fleming got in touch with me, but he's gone quiet. He's probably still talking about his bloody hat trick.
You will be.
Yeah.
That's JB's favourite story, by the way.
Yeah. I'll be doing something. I'm just looking forward to it because it'll be freezing over here. I mean, you don't get light over here. During January, you don't get light at all. So cricket will be great. I think our lads have got every chance. I think they've got a good chance. It's pretty even. Labuschagne seems to be coming back into some sort of form. England will be toying about who's going to bat at number 3. Do they stick with Pope or do they put the young lad Bethel in? The pace attack is tasty. They've got a tasty pace attack. Of course, they've got to all stay fit. They've got to stay fit, both teams. pace attack because these matches are going to come thick and fast. But we've got a good battery. The lad Tong is interesting because he's a big unit. He's slightly awkward, and he's not dead accurate, but he's got pace. He's an interesting one. You've got Atkinson gets close, bowls 85, 86, and gets a little bit of movement and bats. Carr hits the pitch hard. Wood and Archer have got pace. They've just got to stay fit.
Well, and also, and this is not an often said thing, but England have got to get the first ball of the series right, Bumble.
Yeah, yes. Remember that?
Well, that's Big Steve, isn't it? Big Steve. I see a lot of Big Steve, and he gets very thirsty as well. Does Big Steve? And
he's always had all those.
He fired it through to Flintoff, didn't he? There we are. Flintoff took it as if it happens every week.
But then you had Rory Burns bowled behind his legs with the first ball of the series, De Freitas to slats, and that went clattering back with a point for 4. It sort of set a bit of a tone. So whoever does whatever they need to do, first ball of this series for England, they need to get that bit right.
That question's got to be put to David Warner and Broad. Let them two do it. Them two can sort that out. The first ball of the series. It cannot go for 4.
No, that is exactly.
Brody did make one comment which I thought was accurate. England had to be very, very good to play and beat Australia out here, and Australia have to be bad. And his thoughts were that they've got every chance to do that. So, if those two things marry up as they did in 2010, potentially, that you're a threatening team, very threatening team. Who is the Achilles heel, or who does have to be very, very, very good?
The opening pair, I think. The little fella's a good player. Make no mistake. He's sort of David Warner, that dasher, Michael Slater, who doesn't leave the ball, and he's awkward to bowl at because he's a tiny little chap, and so he plays square of the wicket, and he hangs back, and he'll play the short ball pretty well. The other lad, Crawley, who's got a modest record, has a decent record against Australia. So it's at number 3. My view has always been your number 3 has got to be a real glue. He's got to be a real glue player that can bind it all together. I'm not sure that we've got that. And so the playoff, to me, the playoff between the two great players is Smith and Root. That's a playoff between Smith and Root. Who comes out, I think, will determine which way it's going to go. As long as the quicks, and we as commentators, we want quicks of both sides to stay fit. We don't want anybody falling over and a side strain and a bloody hamstring. We want both pace attacks to stay fit, and they can examine the batters. Let's see what you've got, batters, and you're dead right, Ados. I think it's Test cricket throughout the time that you need your A game. Over 5 days, you need your A game. You have 2 bad sessions, have 1 bad session, and you're chasing the game.
Well, Pat Cummins not playing will help Bumble.
Well, that's a travesty, really, because he's a world-class bowler, and you want to play against the very best bowlers. And so, the word over here is that it's more serious than the letting on. He very recently mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that he could be back from Melbourne. So there's only 2 to go there, and so a bit of damage can be done. But and certainly from my point of view, I wish him well, and I hope he gets fit sooner rather than later.
All right, we need to let you go. We've taken up enough of your time. I've got my phone just over here, but the texts are coming up on the computer, and Tub already is latched onto me. He's heard about this. He said, "Tell Bumble we've still got room for the wine tour after Sydney."
Yes.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, I'll get in practice. I'll get some practice in.
Yeah, in Adelaide. That's where you get your practice in, because it's a day game as well, which is unique for us, because the last few years it's all been day-night cricket there.
Well, we'll get Merrill on board. We'll get Merrill sorted.
Yes. He will get you sorted. Hey, Bumble, what a delight. We cannot wait for you to lob in Adelaide. It's going to be brilliant to have you back in this country doing what you do best. Thanks very much for giving us 40 minutes of your time.
It's great to be with you, lads. See you soon.
How good? The great David Lloyd. Check it out on YouTube. Of course, subscribe to YouTube all over Bar the Cricket. Please enjoy that and get stuck in to the, what's it called, Bumble? The beautiful podcast you're doing with the boys.
Stick to cricket.
Stick to cricket. So have a listen to that. It's absolutely brilliant. 4 of them going absolutely bananas over there. But if you want to listen to us, the podcast, wherever you find your best podcast, but if you want to watch it as well, subscribe to YouTube all over Bar the Cricket. That was a special edition.